Não corrigi o número aqui. But it's fixed now. So this number, WhatsApp number, has changed. I put the previous message with the number which is incorrect now. Now I've put the correct number here. Let's make some silence first. So again, reminding you that we use WhatsApp as a means of communication. You can send your questions. It comes directly to me. So today I'll talk about self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is the basis of spiritual work. But there's fundamental misconceptions into this that make all the difference. Sorry about that. These misconceptions is about how you deal with the character's phenomenon. So since childhood, you tend to build yourself according to the feedbacks, the impressions that you have, according to a lot of things. You tend to build yourself, build that character, that personality, developing it more or less according to what you think it's best, according to what you think others will appreciate more, and of course, twisted by your own vision of the world, your misconceptions, and all of this. So it is a building process. And this self-sufficiency talks about not building again. The process of freedom is based on demolishing. Stop the building, stop the feeding, and it demolishes or dissolves itself, becoming more and more simple, more and more simple. This is the way. But what tends to happen is people are very fond of books, but books, they don't say much, they say a lot, endlessly saying something, but not much, and the fundamentals make all the difference. This mindset that is inbuilt of building a character, 99.9% of times, is taken to spirituality also. So people start reading. What is a wise person? How does it behaves? What is an enlightened being? How does it behaves? And there's all sorts of characteristics. And what do seekers do? They try to inbuild that. And they built a new character on top of the previous one. The worldly character was there. The one that came through childhood into adult life. And then they take that one and they build a new character on top of that one with all those characteristics. So it appears to be. It is a functional character. It has nothing to do with spirituality, nothing to do with freedom. It is building a dream inside of another dream. So it becomes more delusional. And this has no purpose apart from keeping you distracted, no purpose in a real process of freedom. So self-sufficiency. To achieve self-sufficiency, it's very difficult. It is not natural. Because life conspires to make you mingle, to make you interact. It is a conspiracy in the outside part of your body, physical world, or those realities, not only physical but energetic, mental, all these things, and inside in that intimate space of perception, that which is left when you close your eyes, abstract from everything else. There's this intimate space where thoughts appear, emotions appear, sensations appear. So in these 2 points, it is a conspiracy, more or less, conspiring to make you interact, giving the impressions that you need something, that you are missing certain things, and then can be found through circumstances. The world is telling you, oh, look, I have this, come and get it. And because of all of this, you tend to believe a lot of things that you are missing, and you try to find ways to get it, because you believe that it is a means for happiness. And then you believe that you need certain things from others, but to get them from them, you will have to deceive them. Because bottom line for you is you're not good enough. I already explained this in another video. And of course you're not good enough because, well, you reject this body-mind complex simply because it's not you. So it is a wise vision, but interpreted by a naive character that has no basis, no security on its own. So confusion arises. So building a spiritual character, it is a big waste of time, precious time being wasted, and it makes you more blind and less able to see, because depending on your needs to build this strong, and the more strong this character becomes, that means more fragilities lie behind it. And those fragilities have become so intense that most of the times you will not be able to deal with them. And vision, a clear vision, it's something that you will have to work for, because, well, there's what you see, there's what you want others to see, and from what you want others to see, many of them, you know they are not that way, but that doesn't mean that you know what is really. It only means that you know it's not that way. It will probably reflect what you want others to see, probably reflects what you think it should be there, what you believe it would be the best, according to the needs you have from others. If you want them to see you as friendly, or intelligent, or caring, or needy, that depends on what you think it's best to show others, to get something from them. But clear vision, there are things that you can see with some amount of work, but other things, they will take longer. Because, well, your world depends on a delicate balance. And there are certain things that you can't see. It's not about lack of trying or lack of goodwill. It is impossible to see because you wouldn't stand it. Intellectually, you may think you would, but intellect is just a small part of it. And a lot of effort is put onto these images that you try to sell to the world, to others. A lot of energy, a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot of time also. Just feeding illusion. So self-sufficiency is very important. It is the basis of a serious work. And for it to grow, you will have to achieve this to a certain extent. So it's like an addiction. What you see as real, your world, it's like some kind of addiction, your addiction. And letting go of it means suffering. Like, how do you say this? Like those symptoms, that pain, all that comes when someone tries to let go of drug addiction, for example. And everything comes to make you go back to the same investments. So, as you were polarized in proving, showing something to the world, giving this feedback to the world, with your eyes to the world, you have built a reality, what you call a reality, and your eyes have become trained to observe others. So trained that this is automatically. So you have to train your eyes to look to yourself, not others. This is why solitude is good for this purpose. And eventually you'll all have to be in solitude. And this means it doesn't matter if there's someone around or not. It is an attitude towards the world where I let go of the world. I will have to go through my dependencies. And it will be clear. You don't need to look what is the dependency, which ones are. No need. Just put in your mind, I don't want anything else from the world. I will stop my demands. All of them. So many of them will be easy and even unimportant depending on their level of intensity. But as you are cutting and you stop all this interaction with the outside world, not asking for anything, stopping all these conversations, interactions, all these things, in very short time, you will see the needs arising, impulses. If you're really polarized in doing this, you will see it. If you're more or less, then it's more difficult because you're still going to be interacting in a, how do you say this, innocent way, through innocent subjects, and still trying to get what you need in this way, so it won't be visible. But if you're practicing intense meditation, and even if you're doing this, eventually you will see, because it will blow up in your face. And those subjects that you can hold on to and not lose your temper, not investing, nor defending, or anything like this. Okay, they are not so much of a problem. But in those subjects that you cannot hold your grounds, that you have to demand or defend, these are your key points. Perhaps you don't want anything from the world anymore, but you're still worried how the world sees you. Perhaps you still want many things from the world, even convinced that you don't. And it is the world that wants it from you. Oh, for sure you are convinced of many things. But as you detach yourself, cut these interactions, you will see the needs arising and pulling you to certain situations. In the beginning, probably you will only see where you're inside the confusion, whatever it is. Can be a confusion of fighting, can be a confusion of seduction, it can be many things, according to your delusion. Sometimes you will see only when you're already there, when it has exploded in your face. But even so, if you haven't seen anything else previously, you only saw it when you're there, you can recall, because you have lived all, so you can trace it back to where did it start, to the most subtle things. Like a conversation, for example, or a situation that you're in, you can trace it back and see, so this is how it goes. And as you observe, you will see through the different situations, the mechanics is more or less the same. It's not very creative. So just observing again and again and again and again and again and again gives you a clear vision. And what is the importance of this? With time and observation, and by seeing how it goes, you can identify it in the beginning, in its most subtle manifestations. So instead of falling again, you can hold your grounds and live the purge. The purge. What is the purge? Usually, all of these confusions are sadness motivated. It's like everyone has a stock of sadness that needs to feed itself. Maybe I jumped too far on this subject, but okay, let's continue. So in those interactions that are at the essence for not freedom's sake, but for happiness' sake, eventually they are about maintaining the stock of sadness. And as you maintain your stock and you increase it, it gives rise to these investments, and they tend to feed themselves. So circumstantial happiness, when you're in the quest of circumstantial happiness, suffering is your goal. That's the only thing that supports this belief of circumstantial happiness. So whatever you're trying to get from the world, you're convinced in your mind that it is about happiness. And your images of happiness that you need to fulfill to be happy. And you have seen again and again that it doesn't bring any happiness. But you don't believe it. You imagine that it's because, well, you have a problem. Because you're not good enough. Because you're not smart enough. Because you're not mature enough. Because blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter how many reasons. And this makes you repeat again and again the same things and not seeing the truth which is in front of you, because all those experiences, they are the fruits of those investments. This is their message. So when you stop, when you are investing in circumstantial happiness, and it's not about fundamentals, about actual investments, where do they tend to lead you? You are feeding your stock of suffering, of misery, the basis of human life, of worldly life. So eventually, you begin a cycle where there's the promise of a bright future in the horizon, and you invest and you go, then frustration will come and you will go deeply into the pit, into your own hell, stay there hopeless, then hope arises again in the horizon, and another cycle continues. It can be short, long cycles, but they are there. So living through the promises of happiness, of circumstantial happiness, and then suffering and the confirmation of your beliefs about yourself. That you're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. This is automatical, mechanical. When you're trying to achieve self-sufficiency and you're cutting these investments towards circumstantial happiness, what you think you are, and when I say what you think you are, it's not about the beliefs that you have about what you are. It's not that. Oh, I'm totality, I'm God, I'm whatever. Oh yes, philosophically speaking. Well, no, but I'm convinced. I know that. No, knowing, it's a very big word. As you are cutting these dependencies, that character, which is built by those investments, will start to shake. So anxiety is the first thing to come. That's when you stop all spiritual investments, majority of you. Because, again, if you're for circumstantial happiness, suffering, anguish, this anxiety, that's not what you signed for. But it's one of the first things that come. Then crisis, intense crisis, and the purge. The purge is when this all comes out. And when it comes out, you feel immediately an inner expansion, as if you have become bigger. This is the cycle of releasing your suffering. And this is how you cut these dependencies. You start to get out from your own story, from that character story. The main character, the one that was built through childhood till adulthood. Not this spiritual character, this is worthless. There's nothing to do with it. Characteristics that are observed in the wise, or the characteristics that you are allowed to see in the wise, because all this can change also. This is a byproduct of spiritual work. It's not the spiritual work. It's like if you train a monkey to act in a certain way, if you are a good trainer, if you have good cookies and bananas and all of that, You can train a monkey to behave in specific ways, so that's not a big achievement. Those characteristics, they are a byproduct of spiritual work. They are not spiritual work. So people waste time trying to inbuilt these qualities, creating a new character, a spiritual character, that it's just functional in these spiritual environments, when it is suitable, of course, when it is about belonging. But this is just another obstacle. By cutting investments, you will begin to see why are your pains there? What is your sufferings? What are your expectations about others, the world, your future? Then you will start to understand how your delusion works, how you feed it. And the more you can see, the more you can cut these investments. And the complicated thing is, it depends on different characteristics. For example, if you're the ambitious type, you may have found something new in your life, spiritually speaking, that you have diverted all your hopes towards to. Then you look to the other things and they become meaningless. And you say, oh, I'm free from all of this. I'm not attached to them. It doesn't mean anything. Because you have shift your needs to another direction. If that light would stop, what would happen? So you need to play the devil's advocate in your process. Don't be convinced in the quick answers that come in your mind, but observe and question. Is it really for good intentions, this? Ask this question: what do I have to gain? What do I have to gain? Look around in your environment. What kind of people are you surrounding with? Those who are more intellectually prone and have more difficulty with emotions. Difficulties may mean a lot of them and they cannot manage them, or too less of them can mean different things. So if your partner is more emotional, or if your partner is more rational, then you know what you're trying to get for you, what you're in search of, believing that it is in the other. What are your demands for it? What is their demands for you? How does it touches you? So it changes completely according to your perspective. Nothing is immediately seen. It takes time. Because if it was easily seen, how could this be maintained so long? Majority of beliefs, they are just rabbit foots. Mystical things in your life. Some you dare to question, others you don't, because they are just there for belief. to support something that you do not dare to question deeply, even if you are deeply questioning everything. Your attention has to be centered in yourself. What are the apparent needs and beliefs? What am I trying to achieve from others? When I'm emotionally down, what behaves come up to get the attention? And if I'm getting that attention, or continue to try to get that attention, how will I achieve self-sufficiency? If it is a belief that I need, if it's a belief and has nothing in there, so if I don't invest in it, if I don't get that, I will continue fine. And you will. If you give yourself that opportunity, you will see that all those needs will disappear, but not as a magic trick. No, after many and many purges. You will see that no matter what the situation is telling you, that if you don't get that, it doesn't matter how intense it may seem. If you go through it, if you do nothing to change the circumstances, to make it turn to your way, you will see that you'll continue to be there. You didn't explode. You didn't turn yourself into a pumpkin or something like that. So whatever was the threats, the inner threats, things are not that way. It can be better, it can be worse, but it's not that way. So all these thoughts, they are nothing. With time, you'll be able to get a little bit more steadiness, but eventually you will lose your ground. And what does this mean? Look, here is the next step to work. Why are you losing your grounds this way? What do you still want from the world, from others? Because there's no others, just animated and inanimated objects in your field of perception, whatever that means. What do you still want? What do you have to gain? What do you have to lose? Even this gaining and losing, you have to broaden your spectrum. It may be appreciation. It may be a good image in the eyes of others. It may mean a lot and a lot of different things. The more you know, the easier it will be for you to identify and abstract. So for those who are emotionally agitated, where this is immense, they have bigger challenges in this, but also big opportunities because they are alive. And eventually, in the end, it's all about the heart, the life of the heart. So those who are more mental, less emotionally intense, they seem that it's more easy for them. but it brings different challenges because they will have to unleash that life. So whatever their ambitions are, they will have to be frustrated so that life can have a possibility. So there's not that one that has better characteristics for this than the other one. They bring different challenges. That's only it, just different challenges. This is such a big subject that it will be impossible to cover it all. So just trying to give you a perception. So as you are closing yourself and abstracting impulses, thoughts, repeated thoughts, crises even, and if you cannot stop it, learn from it. But understand, if you cannot stop it, learn from it. It's not an excuse to indulge. Many do this. Oh, I can't stop it, so I'll observe it. It's not about observing it, it's about indulging in it. This is not good. Because the quest for truth is for the sincere. Only for them. This cannot be measured by no one. Only by the life of your process. So if you can't stop it, observe it. It's good because, well, if it is a big crisis, that it is a fruit of spiritual work, of your spiritual practices, then you must be doing something right. Because whenever you're doing something right, you're taking the basis out of the character and out of your world. And this is good. So if crises are coming, you must be doing something right. Or something terribly wrong also. And it's an opportunity to correct. This is why guidance is fundamental. But self-sufficiency is the basis. So whatever you're trying to get from the world, give it yourself to yourself first. Don't let anyone interfere in this. Give it if it is a need. Sometimes you have to make the transition from others to yourself and then letting go unneeded. If you don't know who you are, if you're not enlightened, then investments are still there. Either in worldly life, and this means worldly life without any spirituality involved, or in a spiritual context, spiritual activities that were transformed into worldly ones by the wrong investments. If you really want to know, with time and dedication, you will start to see. And the problem with seeing, this is why many don't want to see. They want in superficial levels. More deeply, they don't. Because seeing brings a new responsibility, that is, acting upon it. And I've heard many saying, Oh, I wish I didn't knew so much, because I could have continued. Now life has become tasteless. I don't find the strength to continue the spiritual path and deal with my difficulties. So I wish I wouldn't knew so much. There's an expression that says that hell is filled with good intentions. And it is so. A lot of wrongdoing is made with good intentions. And good intentions, they are good, but, well, they are conditioned by your vision. So being able to see, to walk the path, good intentions are not enough. You will have to work hard to be able to see and to get out from the river of delusion, the current that drags your attention and makes you invest in the world. So whatever your world is, whatever your environment is, learn from it. Understand, why are these things here? Why have I attracted these kinds of person, these kinds of environment, all the things that I'm experiencing? What do I need from them? And it's about letting go, not about building and building. Everybody enjoys reading in spirituality. Oh, I read a lot of books, I'm spiritual. Silence, no, silence, no. Either I'm not fit for silence yet, or I'm beyond silence. But staying there, oof, that is difficult. When I say silence, I mean silence meditating, because, well, there's a lot of confusions in this. Majority doesn't know what silence is, so let's say it meditation silence. That active, strong, powerful silence. Because if you have silence, if you know silence, well, you don't need the posture of meditation to be silent, of course. But you don't matter, you don't get bothered by the position, so you can stay there. So in case of doubts, stay in that position and you'll discover if you have something again, if you have silence or not. Not what you would like to see, but what really is. And it's basic, simple. Everything, at all times, will want to make you invest again. Depending on your intensity, if you're very intense, then it comes in subtle ways, because you blocked everything. So it seems that everything disappears. But it doesn't, it stays there. And it waits, and it waits, and it starts to come very subtle. So innocent that it's not even questioned. And then it builds up, or it waits until you become fragile, and bah, hits again. This is what the world is there for, to keep you entertained, distracted. So with that in mind, you will start suspecting everything. And your level of stillness will increase. Of course, the more purges that come, the greater the silence, the intensity. For that purges to happen, you need to change this cycle of building to stop the building, stopping the investments so that they start to collapse. And you can maintain these things with a lot of food, or you can feed it just on very small things. Self-sufficiency is the basis of real spiritual work. Even words are complicated, or especially words. So put in your mind that you're in the quest of truth. Because if you say happiness, it tends to go to your images. Don't let yourself associate anything to this truth. Just keep it there clean. And remember, at all times, the world is pushing you to invest in it. You yourself want this investment. One part doesn't, another part wants it. So be vigilant. Hold your silence. Learn from your chaos. Okay. Maybe it was too dispersed, but if you have questions, you can bring it and it will make things more clear. It is always like this. My friend, I will answer your questions now. Last time you said there might be an experience where a spear is driven through the heart space and it pains a lot. That is the kind of experience that I had happen 4 years back. The pain exists even today, albeit less. It is pain without any logical reasons, it's just there. Sometimes it becomes intense, but otherwise there is a lot of awareness. It also seems more is the pain, more is the awareness and energy in head. Is there a message for me? Well, the context where I spoken about this was about meditation, the intense process of meditation. And we can observe many different levels of meditation, not levels, aspects of the meditation process. But one is the energetic part. It is making all which is dense, subtle. For example, you have in Vipassana the term free flow. The energy flows freely. There's no dense areas, there's nothing, there's just flowing. There's not even the body there. And this is very interesting because personality, it's like a written code where energies are more dense in some places of the body, of the energetic body, and it reflects into the physical, and it flows more into other parts. So there's constrictions in one part, free flow in other parts, or magnified in some points. And one of the aspects of meditation is to dissolve all these constrictions. For those of you who have studied chakras and all these things, you might have a vision of this energy movement. And there are parts that are restricted, certain centers of energy or the channels itself. It directs more energy into one part, less to others. We could say more or less that that which is easier for you has more free flow, and that which is more difficult is more restricted. So meditations, the energy which is circulating, it is dissolving these densifications. And then, or at the same time, depends on a lot of things. It goes directly to the centers, and then the main center. So you had an experience, probably it is here also, not going to that, but just you had an experience that brought you this. So in a way, it is a calling which was not really answered by your part. Because as this comes in meditation or through the meditation process, there's only one thing to do with it. It will be very painful, it will be very intense, but you need to continue and intensifying that meditation. Intensifying the time, intensifying the devotion to your process, the work into it, the sitting hours. The more you intensify it, the more faster it will be, that process of dissolving. It's like it is very hard, petrified. So this hot energy that resembles a hot spear that is entering your chest is the level of energy which is necessary to dissolve that. And this was your calling, is your calling. So what that is asking is for you to go through that road and release this petrify. Sometimes things starts in the beginning, others it starts in the middle, others it starts in the end. It doesn't matter because it's kind of circular. So the beginning, where you're a beginner, can be very close to the end where you are almost transcended. Because the point is what is there to be done yet, not what has been done already. So if you're going to this, you have begun a meditation process, and eventually with time, sometimes a lot of time and a lot of work, you have reached this level because it takes time to reach there. And depending on the intensity that you are, it can increase or decrease time, but it takes time to get there, to that experience of melting iron through your chest. Or it can come, for example, from an experience that has brought you this. Both are meant to continue. And as the pain is intensifying, your attention goes there. Why does attention goes there? Because it is natural. Like the Vipassana technique. What are you doing? Going through all the areas of the body. You are taking energy, consciousness there, and you are dissolving those aspects. So as the pain is increasing, your attention moves there and stays there. Why? To do what needs to be done, to dissolve all that petrified energy. And that is a sign of a heart that aims for freedom. So in that case, you're just going more there. probably not knowing why. Like when there's a pain in your body, you reach with your hand and you put it on top as a protection. Even energy is flowing there as a way to heal, but just as a protection mechanism, life-sustaining mechanism. But it's supposed to be much more than that. So that is calling. Look, I'm here. Walk the path. Forget about everything and dive deeply here. This is the road. That's your message. Okay. So next satsang will be Wednesday. Wednesday, 9 a.m. in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Until then, make the best use of your time. Make it count. Honor your suffering by cutting the investments towards it.